Malnutrition is a major problem on this planet. The lack of basic nutrients can cause a child to have stunted growth. Not just stunted growth in their body, but stunted growth in the mind as well. It gives a child a very, very hard time getting a good start. We went to India with a group of medical volunteers, and we went to villages and we went to orphanages and slums, and we checked children, and 60% of the children that we checked had stunted growth. It was just amazing, and it is a huge problem throughout the entire world. So I want to talk about malnutrition a little bit today. My name is Jim Reynolds. I'm with Ultimate Mission. One of the things that Ultimate Mission does is we train missionaries all over the world to go into their communities and to help children, to help mothers, and to basically just be part of their community and give health to the people around them, give the advice of health. And one of the advice that we give is we'll weigh children, and then we'll try to help parents understand how to get their children to grow good. So Lynette is a registered nurse. She spent time in Africa, and she has run a clinic in Africa as well as taught nutrition. So we're going to ask her today some of these questions, and hopefully she will be able to give us some advice that we can use. So first of all, Lynette, what does it mean to have malnutrition? What does malnutrition mean?
It means poor nutrition.
Poor nutrition, okay.
Yeah, and a lot of times it has to do with lack of food, but it just means that either your body is not absorbing the food the way it should, or you are not taking in the nutrients that you need to have good nutrition.
Ah, okay. So then that's pretty much what causes malnutrition then, is not getting the right nutrients, the right foods to begin with. So have you ever seen cases of malnutrition when you were in Africa?
Yes, I have. Quite a few years ago, I saw a case of kwashiorkor. I was running the clinic that you told me about, and I had a boy come in who, a lot of times the people would tell me, a stick bit me, because they had a sore in their leg. What happened was they stepped on something, and then in turn, the stick gave him a little bit of a wound. Then the flies get into it, and he had a sore. He came to my clinic, and the odd thing was most of the people had brown hair, and his hair was red. And that was actually a form of kwashiorkor. When you're supposed to not have red hair, and you have red hair, that's not a good sign. And the reason was because in the area where we lived, the poorest people just ate corn. And he wasn't getting protein in his diet.
Okay. So you were doing a feeding program there?
Yes. Actually, I would go to some of the clinics, not to the clinics, I would have a little clinic out under a tree. I'd get a scale, and we'd put it up, and we'd weigh the children. And if the child didn't meet the standards for their height and weight, we would actually give them nutrition. Now, this was many years ago, and there was something by the name of fafa, and it was a soy protein meal that could be mixed with water, and it had a lot of nutrients in it that was promoted. It had protein, and that was what the people in that area needed.
So if you find a child with malnutrition, what are the basic foods to give it to get it to where it needs to get the child to where it needs to be, get it back up to the normal growth rate and level?
Well, when we were in Chad, there was also a feeding program there, and what they did was they had a blend of milk powder, oil, and sugar. And really, those are some of the basic nutrients. They weren't the whole foods like I would promote, but they were foods that the children were missing, and they would help them to gain weight and help them to grow. But do you know who the people are who are most affected by malnutrition?
Who's that?
It's the people who are dependent on somebody else for food. So it's the little children, the young children, the elderly people. That can no longer fix food for themselves. And even the prisoners, the people who are in jails and in prison, and prisoners of war, you know, these are people who are affected most by malnutrition.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So what, and now you told some of the foods that they promoted. What were some of the foods that you would promote for malnutrition?
I would promote every food group.
Okay.
And so we have 4 food groups that we basically have been talking about. One of them is protein. A fourth of our diet should be protein, and this includes legumes, includes eggs and meat in moderation. And the legumes are beans and lentils, and beans, lentils, chickpeas, or garbanzo beans. These are all really important. Any type of bean, peas, they're all good.
Soybeans.
Soybeans are very good, yes. And then I would also say that you need to have a diet that includes whole grains. And so you need things like wheat, and in Ethiopia the people eat teff. This is a very good, it's a good grain. It's a very small grain, and it happens to be very high in protein. And oats are very good. They have a lot of nutrients in it. And some places people grow quinoa. There's lots of different grains, but you should have them whole. Rice, you should have it brown rice, not white rice, if you can.
Yes, yeah, if you can. Leafy green vegetables.
Yeah, and so that's half of your diet over there, and the next half is leafy greens are really one of the best. And then fruits. You need to have fruits. But you know, I just want to mention this because I like to listen to somebody who talks about nutrition. I almost listen to him every day. His name happens to be Dr. Greger. But he said the one food that you can get pretty much throughout the world that provides the most nutrients for the amount of money that it costs is things like sweet potatoes and yams. There's lots of nutrients in it. So that is a really good thing to have in your diet.
Yeah, very good. So you ran a feeding center, and this is part of what you gave is some of these.
Well, part of the thing with the feeding center was we were teaching people to grow their own gardens too, and then they would have a variety. The big thing is that you need a variety, and it's sometimes hard, especially in Africa, to get a variety. But if you can if you can get some seeds and grow something, things grow well if you have water. And so it's important to just have a variety of foods to get all the nutrients you need so that you don't have malnutrition. But do you know people in the United States even have malnutrition?
I believe it because they don't have a variety of foods.
There's not a lot of nutrition in potato chips.
Yes, yeah. And so we see this in other countries as well, because I work in the Philippines, and they have a hard time getting a variety of food. They eat a lot of fish and a lot of rice. In India, a lot of rice, a lot of dal. And so the thing is these may be good foods to eat. Fish and rice are good foods, but you need to get other things in there as well, because if you don't have all these different food groups and what we call the rainbow of colors with your foods, with the fruits and vegetables, and if you don't get your whole wheats and your whole grains, then you're only getting a piece of that diet, and that won't give you all the vitamins you need in order to have a healthy child. And children are like plants. They need to grow. They need to continue to grow. And as a matter of fact, you've got a little child growth chart there that you're going to show us.
Yeah, so part of the feeding station is to get the height and weight of a child. Sometimes you'll have them come back every week if they're really having a lot of problems, but sometimes it'll be just once a month. And so here we have a chart, and this shows, this one is for boys, so these 2 columns are for boys and these 2 are for girls. And it's saying that at 1 year, a boy usually weighs about 10.2 kilograms, and a girl will weigh about 9.5. Girls usually weigh just a little bit less. And then the height of a child should be 76.1 centimeters. I should have my chart here, but I'll show it to you in another lesson. And girls will be about 75 centimeters. So the girls are a little bit smaller than boys, and this is just an average. Now I'm going to show you another growth chart. This one actually you plot what you are at a certain age and a certain weight, and then you can see there's lots of lines here. And what we're doing is saying that the middle line is what most of the people will be, and the top line is pretty much the top of what you'll find for anybody, and the lowest is maybe you have a small child and it's going to be low. And it also does this is for the length and this is for the weight. So you can have several different types of growth charts, and you can have a way to see if that child is
continuing to grow.
If they're continuing to grow, if they're staying the same, or if it's going downward. Going downward is a really bad problem.
Or even staying the same is a problem, because like I said, children are like plants. They need to continue to grow. And the nice thing about one of these charts, you can find this on the World Health Organization website. You can find all kinds of charts like this, and you plot those charts. So you see in this month the child was here and here and here and here. So you plot the chart so you can see visually that this child is getting better, it's growing, it's doing what it's supposed to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a really good way to keep track. And if the child is not growing, then they need to have the education, first of all, and they also may need to have some food supplements. And there's a lot of organizations that are really concerned about children that will give you food for a food program.
Yeah. If you find a child that is malnourished, the first thing that you probably need to do is go to whatever health organization is in your community and let those people know what's going on. So, you know, in India, you have the ASHA workers. In Ethiopia, they have another group of health workers that you can go to and talk to. But find a doctor, find a hospital, find a government organization, and tell them that you know of a child that's malnourished. And most government organizations will they'll have something for that child.
Yeah.
And so let people know what's going on, because there are times that some parents do not understand that their child is small. They just don't realize it. And they're feeding their child the same thing they've eaten all their lives, but this is not working. And if that child gets to a certain age and has stunted growth, it's going to affect them the rest of their lives. So this is time sensitive. This is something that needs to be done. Now, one of the most important things we can do, I say we as if I could do it, but I can't, is breastfeeding.
Yes,
and
that's very
so,
important.
you know, why is breastfeeding so important for new babies?
Well, breast milk was designed for newborn babies. Obviously, cow's milk was designed to feed a new baby calf, and the mother's milk is designed to feed her baby. It has all the nutrients that we need. Now, I'm just going to compare cow's milk for just a moment here, because a lot of times that's used for supplements. But you think about a new baby calf. In about 1 year, it has grown to its full size. It's almost as big as its mother in 1 year. And that's not what we want for children. We want children to spend maybe about 20 years growing to their full height. So the mother's milk was designed for the baby, and it is the best. It has all the nutrients, especially the first milk that the mother produces. It's very good. Some people think, well, it doesn't have a lot of nutrients in it, but it does. It has a lot of disease-fighting nutrients, and it keeps the baby healthy for that first year of their life.
Yeah.
So it's the best milk, and it's the best milk for 6 months.
Right.
For the first 6 months of life, the mother should breastfeed, and then
exclusively?
After that, exclusively.
So no water, no cow's milk, no formula,
Right.
just breast milk for the first 6 months.
And sometimes it's tough. I know for my second child, we were traveling to Ethiopia as I was feeding my second baby, and it was pretty stressful, and I didn't have a lot of milk for my baby. And so for a couple of days, I just let her nurse and nurse and nurse, and you'll be surprised, but my milk supply built up, and I was able to exclusively breastfeed her for the first 6 months, and then on until she was 18 months.
Oh,
In
wow.
Africa, you'll see mothers breastfeeding maybe up to 3 years or so.
Okay. Well, and
so, India too, I bet.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm not sure in India.
Okay.
I know in the Philippines there's a little more difficult time, and probably here in the United States where formula is so easy to get. But the other thing about breastfeeding is that milk is always, it's pasteurized. You don't have to worry about the baby getting bad water, because one of the problems in some places is the water isn't good.
Yeah.
So as long as the breast is clean, and when the baby nurses, then the baby is going to have good formula and a good, you know, and not have the chance of getting disease or anything else that you would get from bad water.
Oh, that is really important. Just the safety of getting a good milk supply. That is really good.
Right, yes.
But you know what, sometimes it's really tough because a mother will have twins, and then what is she going to do? So it's really important for a mother who has twins, for the family to help her out. Make sure she's getting enough food and enough water. It's really, really important.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes a child is going to have a problem with nutrition just because it's not absorbing the food correctly. And if somebody doesn't start to improve and they're really going downhill, they really need to see a doctor, and they need to be tested to see what is going on with their nutrition. Why aren't they able to absorb food the way that they should? And then I just wanted to mention, because I've been to Africa many times since my days in Ethiopia, and there has been so much poverty and so much famine and war. Right now, we wanted to go to Ethiopia, and there's a war going on there, and that's going to cause a famine up in the northern region where a lot of people aren't able to plant their crops and take care of things the way that they would. And so these are some of the reasons why there isn't enough food. If we were to take all the food that's produced in the world, we would really have enough food to feed the world. The whole
Right.
world, if they would combine their food and
Yes.
give it out, we could feed the world. But that's not what's happening. And there's areas of famine and war and poverty, and we need God in our lives. He can help us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so thank you very much for watching this video. This is one of our nutrition videos. We have a total of 5. And so if this is the first one you've watched, I want to encourage you to watch the other ones. If you like the videos that we're doing, please hit the subscribe button underneath, and you can see more of the videos that we're putting out. So thank you very much for being here today. We appreciate you watching, and we will see you again. God bless. Bye-bye. We would love for you to be a part of our Ultimate Mission family. Please subscribe to our channel, watch our videos, like and share our videos, donate if you would like. Let's work together to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ to the world.